Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. Today we are going to discuss a number of economic files and to discuss or to comment, to analyze also some incidents which are taking place on the ground and of course the inauguration of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to an annual industrial exhibition, and his talks with many of those who participated in the exhibition affiliated to the conference. But before going into these details and before knowing more about the speech of the president, in which he really conveyed a number of messages, let's have this exclusive interview. Recently, a very important conference was held under the title of Banks and People, Sustainability and Green Economy. And it tackled many files, including basically the big and great role of banks to finance new SMEs, to finance new startups, to finance new investors who are trying to invade this market. Investments in Egypt, there are very important potentials. The market is very promising, but of course there are a lot of obstacles on the way, whether the public or the private sector are trying hard together to eliminate all these obstacles. This exclusive interview is with Mr. Hazem Higazi, a CEO of one of our leading investment banks. Let's watch and then we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned. We are very much delighted to have with us Mr. Hazem Higazi, CEO of one of our leading banks. Sir, thank you very much for being with us. And I'd like to ask about your bank's role, of course included under the umbrella of our banking system here in Egypt, to implement on the ground all presidential initiatives regarding the finance of SMEs, new entrepreneurs, and new startups. I'd like to have a brief idea about this before going into details.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Our bank is considered as a regional bank and part of a group in Egypt. The bank is an Islamic bank, actually, and providing finance to corporates and SMEs and entrepreneurs, as you said. Actually, I joined the bank 2 years ago, and we went through a complete restructuring for the bank. And part of the restructuring was initiating the division of the SME finance. And actually, this was also an assignment from the Central Bank of Egypt, as the Central Bank was very keen to push a lot of initiatives regarding the finance of the SME division. Actually not our bank only, it's a group initiative from all the banking sector in Egypt. In this regard, the SME and entrepreneur is considered as a big engine for the economy to push the economy in general, to give some more, you can say,
Permit me, sir, to interrupt here. I'd like to know more about the new markets, because there are now new fields. Now we are getting more familiar all the time with what we call green economy, for example, renewable energy, even green hydrogen. I mean, we're talking about new terms. How do you see this implemented on the ground? Because this is also part and parcel of this vision, Egypt 2030.
Yes, correct. The green energy is considering taking a lot of initiatives and a lot of focus from the banking industry and from the finance institution in general. And most of the Gulf countries and in Europe, they've been in advanced level for this type of finance. Our bank is taking those initiatives as well, and we financed two major companies, one in the large corporate size and one in the SME, to create energy with the new methods of green and sustainability. We are talking about a portfolio of around 400 million Egyptian pound as a start. We are having a special division in the bank looking after the sustainability and the green finance. Also, we had ties with the IFC, international level, to borrow a loan to be dedicated especially for the green energy and for the sustainability. Yeah.
This is great. Sir, also the banks, they are not only concerned now with finance. There are non-financial services. And it's not only that I'm going to give you money and that's it, but there is brainstorming, they're thinking out of the box, that they're helping the new entrepreneurs to find their ways, particularly in new markets. If you want to elaborate on that too.
Yeah, this is a very good question. Actually, we don't want to give the money and that's it. Especially that most of the players nowadays, from the clients, they are this type of the field is new for them. So we create a department in the bank called the strategic department and sustainability, and we have like units across the branches to explain and dig more with the client, to talk about the feasibility study, the types and the types of the project itself, how this project will save for him a lot of revenues at the end of the day. Even if sometimes the equipment he needs, we are coordinating between him and between the importing those type of equipments. So there is a lot of non-financial advices from the bank as well.
Mr. Hazem, thank you very much for being with us, and inshallah this is not going to be the last time. We're going to leave you with a promise to see you again in more interviews in our screen.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thanks for Nile TV. Thank you.
Welcome back. Let's start immediately with my dear guest live here in the studio, because in fact we do have a lot to speak about. I'm very much delighted to have with me Mr. Mostafa Naggary, our economic expert in this very rich episode of Money Means Business. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you, Nermi.
Let's start immediately. As we said, we do have a lot to speak about indeed. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated in the morning the second edition of the annual International Manufacturing Convention and Exhibition. And also he talked about the National Initiative for Developing Egyptian Industry, Start or Ibda. Sir, as we listened to Mr. Higazi in this exclusive interview, this was practically what's going on the ground, and how the banking sector is really having a big role in financing SMEs. And today, the president is saying that SMEs is one of the priorities of the state, and that there is no economy which can develop only with national mega projects, with, of course, with full respect to their importance, but also SMEs is part and parcel of the whole issue, and they should go in parallel or side by side. If you please elaborate on that, sir.
Let me tell you that we are considering most of the productive sectors in Egypt as SMEs. Mm-hmm. It's really to have a mega entity or company which we can consider as a mega company, unless some of the companies who are having outborder investments, so they are in the international mega projects which is surrounding everywhere. Mm-hmm. But in Egypt, most of the companies and industrial factories are SMEs. Mm-hmm. So that's why today was very important day, because it was a gathering between the local and the international visitors, which came on this very crucial time and very hard time for the area, mm-hmm. But they were welcoming to come, and they are, of course, a part of the equation which everybody is looking for, the sustainable and the increasing of the Egyptian economy. Mm-hmm. So, of course, banking is one of the main pillars in the equation, and as we always say that there is a connection between the economical influence and the social impact. Mm-hmm. So that's why when this was called the banking and people, mm-hmm. it means what is
Yes.
titled, because really the people are connected to the banks everywhere, and without finance, without initiatives of finance,
And
life
this
will be
edition of
difficult.
the conference was held under the title of Sustainability and Green
Correct.
Economy. So the word sustainability is a key word here, because it's not only for today, it's not a short-term plan. No,
Always
it's a sustainable development
correct.
process. But
Yeah.
if you permit me, sir, because
Yeah.
there were a lot of points which were mentioned today in the president's speech in
Yeah.
this inauguration. He said that the state established 15 industrial complexes at the behest of the Trade and Industry Ministry, and the establishment of these complexes is aiming to provide all the requirements for the investors, helping them to kickstart their projects and offer new job opportunities, and hence taking the unemployment rate to decline. And
Yeah.
this is also another important issue. How do you see this, sir, as some of the efforts exerted by the state?
Today, as usual, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi gives messages, and clear messages, about the reports which he's reading, about the data which is collected by the Information and Decision-Making Center in the Prime Ministry office. So that's why we always focus about how power Egypt can be, how we can improve our industry and our GDP, even the participation of the industry in the GDP in general, because we are saying that the main activities is industry, is agriculture, tourism, and services, mainly. Beside the Suez Canal and other
and beside
other.
our
But
petroleum and
at
gas
the end,
exports.
what we have in hand and what we can do by ourselves is in these fields. So industry, there have been several industrial zones and several industrial areas and law which facilitating for the investors to come and to try to start to produce. Even today, His Excellency, the President was mentioning that he is able to reallocate millions of square meters for those people who are ready to work and to start to work. So the question mark was always to find lands, and today he gave this message, and about to increase the added value for the local resources. And this also was a very important
This is
discussion.
a very important
Yeah.
issue. And this is going to take us to a point which you raised
Yeah.
last time when we were in another episode of Money Means Business. The President stressed the importance of protecting the good reputation of Egyptian products in international markets, particularly, and this is what was said particularly by the President, agricultural crops such as vegetables and fruits.
Yeah.
I'd like you, sir, to elaborate more on that.
I was making a report and analyze the value of the unit of exported vegetable and the fruit from Egypt compared with other surrounding countries, which is nominated similar to Egypt as a net vegetable and the fruit exporter, because Egypt is not a crop agri-land. We are not like Russia, we are not like Argentina or Brazil. They produce millions of crops such as wheat or corn or soybean, and the average unit for them is always low, between $300 to $400 per ton. But Egypt is an exporter of vegetables and fruits, and last year we have exported around 6 or 6.2 million tons. But we were always calculating the revenue out of that, and it was about $550 per ton, which is very low if you compare yourself with Spain, Italy, Turkey.
Here you're talking about what
the
crops,
neighboring.
sir?
We are talking about the fruits and vegetables, which is containing all types of fruits such as grapes, strawberries, citrus,
whatever, yeah.
oranges, and then vegetables. You have the potatoes, you have the onion, you have the... So all of that we are having average unit of export, and we are comparing what we export with other surrounding in the Mediterranean region countries. And we were very low, because if I give you example that in Spain, the average unit of exported vegetables and
This is
fruit
a problem.
is 12. Yeah, it's a big problem.
Okay,
because
I want to know the solution.
the solution is easy, that you have to upgrade the varieties, and you have to use other varieties which is used in Europe and elsewhere. So automatically you have a better condition in Egypt, because the climate change is not affecting Egypt as it is affecting in Europe,
Other
in
parties,
the north.
other
So
part of
that's
the
why-
world, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
and that's why last exhibitions in Madrid, it was 2 weeks ago, and the Spain, we
Sir,
consider it as a garden for
it's
Europe.
great
They were
to say
asking
that,
for
but
our
I
products.
also want to focus, whose responsibility is that? I mean, is it the responsibility of the Ministry of Agriculture or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, or both together,
no.
or Ministry
I
of
can tell you
International
that
Cooperation?
there should always be remapping for the agriculture in Egypt, and this
Okay.
is the responsibility of the Minister of Agriculture. I have to be quite clear, because we have to benefit from each square meter and each cubic meter of water. This is how we evaluate the value of our product, is the land and the water. Yeah, so that's why we are always talking, and they are also talking about that, and they started to improve the varieties, and they are using the implementation house in the research center, and they are successfully
But sir,
doing a good
I
job
don't know
in
what I'm
some
gonna say
varieties.
is right or wrong, but also this needs good marketing.
No, the markets are always there, because you are going to
Marketing,
produce what the
signing
market
memo of
needs.
understanding, signing agreements, making deals.
No, let me tell you, as an
Yeah.
agriculture man, if I can say that everybody is in need for food, and we have been mentioning before that you have to define your production in the agriculture. I am in the side that we are covering 50% of our needs of wheat, which for me I think it's quite enough, because wheat is very cheap. It's a commodity which is ranging between $200 to $300.
But nothing
And
is cheap now.
No. At the moment, the last tender for Gask, it was $220, $25. So it is not expensive at the time being, and even with the crisis of the Russian-Ukrainian war, it have reached up to 380. But if you talk about grapes or strawberries, you are talking about something
Much higher.
$1,500.
Oh.
So you can imagine. So you have always to put your social security for the food, of course, in front of you. But on the other side, it's an economical equation, because you have
Between the
challenges for
strategic
water.
crops
Yes.
and the
You have a
fruits and
challenge for
vegetables and
water.
stuff like that, yes.
Agriculture is consuming 62 billion cubic meter of water every year in Egypt, while our total stocks is only 82 billion. So we cannot do more. So we have to play with our land which is ready for agriculture, and with the water availability at the time being, until the new projects of recycling water and of the new mega projects in agriculture will increase, and will try to give a better chance for us.
Yes. Sir, if you permit me to return back to the convention of today, as the president, as usual, and in every occasion, he stresses on the importance of using our resources, natural resources, raw material, not to export our raw material, no, but to manufacture our raw materials and then to export them manufactured. This is going to be for the best interest of our economy, and also to meet our own needs in the local market. And for example, when the president toured the exhibition, for example, he stopped at the National Pharmaceutical Industries Company to have our raw materials and to stress on the importance of that even in the medicines or drugs industry, this was also an important message. This is only an example, by the way. How do you see having this balance to enrich our raw materials and to keep the production components ours?
It's a very important issue, but it has been discussed for several years that Egypt is banning export of any natural resource. So, for instance, that a few years ago we were exporting sand and the silica sand, and it's not allowed anymore. Even with some of the national resources which can't be manufactured in Egypt, you have always export tax. So there is always a department in the Ministry of Trade and Industry who is calculating the benefit, but on the other side, this is a role of GAFI, which is the General Authority for Foreign Investments, which can attract the investors to come and to give them these resources. But at the time being, I think that always the area is not stable at the moment to try to attract investors, and we are seeing His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is trying to calm down and to cease the fire in Gaza, to try to give stability, because Egypt is a great nation, as we always say. We have been to several wars, and at the end we came to a peace process, and at the end we are trying to live in a stable area which can always attract the people to live all together and to try to work and produce. So at the time being, I don't see that Egypt is allowed to export any national resources. But what we are discussing at the moment is to try to increase the added value of any national resources in Egypt, to have it in a final product, or at least try to decrease our imports of the inputs which will accumulate in the industry or in the agriculture or in the other services. So we are doing a good job, but at the end we are still looking to increase the added value for all our products in all our services.
Also, the president mentioned ibda more than once, or start. And he is saying that he is ready, or the state is ready to eliminate all obstacles in front of them, whether with increasing the incentives bundle already introduced to them, exemption of taxes more than that, anything but to start. Ibda, and we are here for you. How do you see this, sir, also?
Every day we have to ibda, we have to start, because every day there is a new edition of any technology or industry or any even type of services which can be presented. So the name ibda is, I think that we will continue every day to say ibda. What we are trying always to say, that the SMEs should be gathered in clusters, because at the end they will increase their competitiveness, and they will reduce their weakness, as we say. Because not anymore, we are not living in a world that individuals can lead. No, it's always blocks. We are seeing merging between even mega entities. So the time is always to gather the SMEs, to try to put them into bigger cooperatives or clusters, but at the end to increase their productivity and their competitiveness.
Sir, I'm asking this in specific because today the president was keen to meet with the graduates or the students of technical schools.
Correct.
They briefed the president of the untraditional way of education service introduced in these schools, and how by this innovative manner or untraditional manner, those graduates are going, inshallah, to meet the needs of our labor market in a way that is going to be a leap in
Correct.
our economic development. And whenever they see, whenever even they are school students, that IBDA is an initiative monitored by the president himself,
Yeah.
and that all those involved in this initiative are finding such support from the state. How do you see this equation? Because this is a hope for the future.
It was always a hope for us. You remember that 2-3 decades, everybody was always focusing on to go to a university or faculty, try to be a doctor or try to be an engineer. But at the end, we have missed for decades the technical education and how to try to build a new generation which is ready to merge with what the market labor and the vacancies need. So at the end, we kept on trying to make this training through ministries or through associations.
It is their
But now,
corporate social responsibility.
yeah.
It's their responsibility.
Yes.
But also, you know, this is very important, sir, to speak about the culture of the society.
Yeah.
Now, the culture of our societies are changing. These are cultures which unfortunately were instilled for years and years right
started,
now regarding
yeah, we
educational,
started,
vocational education.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And when we talk now about vocational education as a privilege,
Yeah.
and as taking this as such a tool of having a better tomorrow, and to be monitored or to be sponsored by the presidency itself, this is a step forward.
I can tell you that even in our factories or our farm, we need always well-trained laborers, and sometimes it's very hard to find. And we are always trying to give this such programs of training for our laborers day and day, because there is a very accelerated improvement in the technology everywhere. And we always have to teach our laborers. But if the schools is going to give that, of course it will be
Much better.
much better, because you will get a ready labor or a ready technician, which will be involved automatically in the,
And
as
based
we
on
say,
the
in the
latest
equation. Yeah.
international standards
Correct.
and
Yeah.
on scientific
Even
rules.
it is needed in Europe.
Sure.
And they are always asking Egypt to try to improve
In
the
Europe, in the
vocational
Gulf,
education.
I think in the whole world.
Everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere they are in need.
Well, we are going to continue with our discussion right after the short break. Welcome back. And as we were speaking about the important messages which were sent today by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as he was inaugurating the second edition of the annual International Manufacturing Convention and Exhibition. And as usual, sir, the President was keen to meet in the exhibition with the businessmen or the new investors and to talk with them directly about any obstacle on the way, any hurdle, what they do really want, and if there is something which we can fix. Before going into another point, how do you see this direct interaction between the president and the new startups we have?
I can tell you that when you hear to His Excellency, you feel that he is a part of your company or a part of your factory. Because really he's touching what we always talk in our cabinet in the company or in the association about what is the possibility. So he is reading a lot and he is always open. And I can say also the cabinet is open. All the ministers are open their doors for those who are having opinions or trying to increase and to benefit for our country. So it's always giving always, as we say, a push and the power for us, especially in such days which we see around in the area. And this is mainly our markets. I mean, we are as a producers, as a exporters, the Gulf area and all the surrounding countries are our main markets. Europe also is in our top priority as a market which is always absorbing most of our exports.
Yep.
So at the end that we have
And
always...
the president said it, the state does not seek any profits from building industrial facilities. It's only seeking to save investors' time and efforts, and he voiced the state's willingness to assist in increasing the number of sanitation, water treatment, purification plants, which will be needed to needing huge quantities of equipment and manufacturing
That's
materials.
why banking is very important. The banks are very important. The finance initiative is very important at the time being. We are always, trying to overcome the obstacles which we are always facing for the last 2-3 years, starting from the Russian-Ukrainian war.
Conflict in February 2022.
Yeah.
Sir, I cannot miss, or I cannot neglect speaking about what President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said about Gaza, and he was speaking not only as the president of Egypt but as the supreme commander of the armed forces, when he said that the sovereignty of Egypt of course should be respected, and Egypt is capable of defending itself against any attack or offense. But sir, the president also talked about the diplomatic efforts exerted to guarantee the safe passage of humanitarian aid. But unfortunately, Israel put all the obstacles on the way to impede the delivery of aid to the Palestinian Gaza Strip. How do you see that the president is keen in every occasion, whatever the occasion is, to talk about the latest development in Gaza and to stress that Egypt is going to continue exerting the utmost efforts to alleviate the sufferings of the Palestinian people?
Let me tell you that Egypt is a great nation and have been always respecting its obligations and its international commitments. And we have been into wars, and we have been into peace process, and we came to agreement at the end by on the negotiating table and even by court. So at the end we have historical, if we can say,
responsibility.
It's not a responsibility, but we have a great manner for the Palestinian cause since decades.
1948.
Yeah, since decades. And we have been trying a lot. And until this moment, with several presidents, until His Excellency Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he is always showing the real power of Egypt, and that Egypt is a big core to solve this problem, because we are the biggest country in the region, and we have been trying to facilitate
and bordering
every
Gaza.
Yeah, and
I mean,
and that's
they are
why
our
most
depth, our strategic depth.
most of our talks was trying to seize the fire and to try to negotiate and to try to release prisoners from both sides, hostages, and at the end that stability is the main reason we are calling for peace. Always, Egypt have been always calling for peace. So we feel very regretting for what we see from Israel, because we see every moment demonstrations everywhere in all the countries. I'm talking about the people everywhere are against killing civilians, and that's why we have been always talking about that you have to define okay, that you don't attack civilians. And that's why most of the productive sectors in Egypt are able, and they have sent a lot of humanitarian aid materials in food, in clothing, in medicine. And unfortunately, Israel is not showing, if we
Israel is
say a
impeding
positive,
the entry
a
of the aid
positive
right now.
to try to
Yeah.
help, and it's always, even today, they are showing new logistic obstacles for this human aids to
And
come.
the president also
Yeah.
himself stressed more than once that we have never closed the crossing of
Never,
Rafah on our
never.
side. Never.
We are always trying, although that the Palestinians is, as we call our brothers, and they are in our same feeling and so on, but we are on trying to help all parties to try and to sit on a negotiating table, because this is our experience. We have a great experience in that. We have been to wars, but wars will never change anything on the ground. It will always increase the hatred between the people. And we are living on the same area, and we have the Jews before in Egypt. You have the Jews in Iraq, in Yemen, in Morocco. They were living in peace, and there was no fight. So that's why I'm not astonished to see even the Jews are demonstrating to what they see. Even some Israelis are demonstrating to what they see in the double standard we see every day. So at the end, we are here as Egyptian people. We are not politicians, but we are people who lived for more than decades, and we are always open our hearts for the Jew and for the Israelis to work together, but avoid to kill civilians, because it will increase the hate between the people, and it will take a longer time to try to come together and to work and to live together.
Amen to that. Sir, as usual, I enjoyed our discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nermin. It was a pleasure.
And the president said it more than once, maybe multiple of times. The Palestinian cause is going to remain the cause of the causes.
Correct.
And Egypt has its very firm stance regarding the Palestinian cause. There is no end to the current violence except with the two-state solution, with returning back to the negotiating table, and with an immediate ceasefire, an immediate halt to violence and bloodshed, immediate halt to killing civilians from both sides. And by the way, until the moment, more than 7,700 Palestinians fell martyrs, and more than 3,500 of them are minors, toddlers and children. It's a test of our humanity. Well, by this, we come to the end of this episode of Money Means Business. But before I leave you, I'm going to leave you with an exclusive interview with our great and veteran political and economic thinker, Dr. Mostafa Al-Faqi, as he was also participating in this conference, Banks and People, and he had his say regarding the banking sector role in financing SMEs. Well, by this we come to the end, but inshallah we are going to leave you with a promise to see you same time on Mal TV International in another episode of our program. With all my love, this was Nermin Abdurrahman. We are very much delighted and honored to have with us Dr. Mostafa Al-Faqi, our diplomatic figure, our thinker, our political and economic expert. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Sir, when it comes to a conference like the one we are in, the relation between people and banks, the words sustainability, the words innovation, green economy, all these are for the best interest of SMEs, new startups, entrepreneurs, and this is all part and parcel of our economic development. Tell me about your vision regarding this conference and the aims of it.
You know, I'm not an economist, I'm a politician more than. But I was honored by being the head of the administration of this center or council for publicity, and we feel that our role is to participate in enlightening the people for the new terminology in certain issues of economics and the modern style of thinking and the way the world is going to. Accordingly, all what we are doing here in our annual conference is to invite the heads of the Egyptian banking leaders, and they gather all of together in few sessions. Maybe it's more summarized this year, but usually it takes 2 days, and we have to discuss all the issues related to the current affairs in the economic issues, the achievements done by the government, the banking developments everywhere. And I can see that every year we have more number of people gathering, and they were wishing to join us and to see what's going on. That's why whenever this year is, we are talking about the green economy. This is a new dimension. That's why all what we are doing is not only in the current affairs, but future is, yes, also. And we are more far-sighted to see the future and how things will go on in that future. I'm so happy that in Egypt we have this way of thinking, and for the first time maybe with our generation, everybody's talking about the future, not to be always stick to the past and talking about history. We are talking about future by all means.
Amen to that. And sir, first, I cannot separate politics from economy. And when it comes to particularly these days, the whole world is suffering from global crises, if I may say so. It's not only one crisis. And there is no way to stop where you are. To think about tomorrow in an innovative manner, this is not a luxury. And as you've kindly mentioned, new terminology. To what extent do you feel that Egypt now is having this culture? I mean, our economists are not thinking in the traditional way. Now, here, for example, it's a platform for brainstorming.
You are absolutely right. We can't talk about economy in separation with politics. Politics is the independent factor which is followed by others. We feel always, not only in Egypt, but all over the world, that whenever you talk about economy, then you have to talk about the political goodwill, the political dimensions, which are the frame of the whole economic activities, wherever it is. I quite agree with you that in Egypt, this new terminology is coupled with the new generation. That's why I want to say that the new generation is more alert of things are going, because they will live with these things more than a generation like mine. That's why we have to see that and to be sure that the new generation is able to understand the new developments all over the world, not only in our region. This is the only key for future, and that's why you always repeat education, education, education.
Sir, you are always an added value to our screen, and we are going to leave you with a promise to see you again and again in more interviews on Nile TV International.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.